character and smarts and that sort of thing would play a factor. I mean, you drafted a guy who's a physics major. Talk about what went into it with Andrew.
Sure, we're really excited to bring Andrew into our family. You know, we heading into the draft, we had targeted him as one of the guys that if he were there at 19, you know, we have serious consideration taking. He's a great human being. He's smart. He processes the game in a cerebral way, and I think that you know, he's someone who loves the game. He's someone who is relatively new to the game, yet has a sophisticated, efficient way in which he scores the ball. And we're just delighted to know that we're adding a quality human being and someone who has a chance to be pretty good if you know he continues to work at it and stay committed.
Go ahead, John. Does it give you any pause when you draft a guy who didn't pick up basketball until he was in the 11th grade of high school, or do you look at that as a positive? Or?
You know, we did a lot of research on him, and I think the one intriguing thing about Drew is that he has a natural instinct for how to play around the rim, how to play away from the rim. He has great hands, and he has an efficient way in which he uses angles to create space for himself. So there are a lot of natural instincts and skills that I think he possesses, and certainly he's going to continue to improve on a few different things. And just getting to know him through the process, he really seemed to have a penchant for wanting to improve and a real appetite for continuing to work on both his strengths and his limitations.
Rob, the Houston Rockets apparently made no secret they were going to try to make a play at Dwight. Anybody else come knocking at the door for Dwight?
You know, we had talks with a lot of different teams, and again, as I said the other day, I'm going to keep a lot of that stuff confidential for the time being. I know you guys are probably getting sick of me saying that, but we've had talks with a handful of teams and about a handful of subjects and a handful of topics, and it's just part of the draft process, and you know, it's something that's to be expected this time of year.
How would you assess Dwight's future with this franchise, having said what you just said? What's his future here?
You know, again, tonight is about the draft. You know, we brought in two quality human beings who we think have a chance to be pretty good, in Drew and Kyle, and tonight our focus is on the draft and feeling excited about the two players we picked up.
The two guys that you did draft tonight, where do they fit in? I mean, can they come right in and contribute to the team, or is this a work in progress?
Not really sure. You know, it's going to be up to them. They got to come in and show that they have a willingness and an effort level that is up to the standard we expect. And everything we do here is going to be based on merit. So they'll have a chance to impact the team as much as they want. And if they earn it, they'll get that opportunity for sure.
How seriously did you look at moving up, and can you tell us a little bit about O'Quinn?
We looked at moving up, we looked at moving back, we looked at a lot of different options, and at the end of the day we felt like staying at 19 was the best scenario for us. You know, Kyle is someone who has a maturity and a genuine toughness to his game. You know, our staff felt that he knows who he is as a player. He knows where his bread's buttered, so to speak, and he lives to rebound the ball, he lives to play defense, he's a vocal defender, and he's someone who brings, in our opinion, an energy level that can be contagious if channeled the right way.
Rob, do you think that Nicholson physically is ready to compete right now and earn playing time?
You know, I think he's a player who is ready in a few different areas. I think certainly his physical strength is an area that he's going to focus on and try to get better at. But we do see him as someone who can play for us in a role that can help us.
Rob, was Andrew the best player on the board then, or are there some things going to happen to power forward spot with Big Baby and Rob?
In our estimation, he was the best player on the board at the 19th pick.
Have you heard anything in regards to Jameer Nelson's decision yet?
Have not heard. We've been in discussions with Jameer and his representation, and we'll know something by tomorrow.
As far as the 2 picks, both seniors, experienced, is that something you were looking for?
You know, it was something that, not that we were looking for, it was something that kind of just fell into our lap, so to speak. I think, you know, we wanted to identify good players who, like I said the other day, good people, guys who love the game and who want to work at it. So it was one of those things where as the draft board evolved and the slots started to get filled, we felt those 2 guys were the best selections for us based on what was available at the time.
Was there a player on the board that you guys were hoping that was just overlooked, that you guys would probably go after, or were you just pretty much satisfied for what you had?
We're very happy with what we have. You know, you always have certain guys that you hope may slip, that you have valued at a certain point, and that's sort of the mercurial nature of the draft. Sometimes you hope that a guy could slip a few spots lower than maybe he was projected, but we're incredibly satisfied with our results tonight, and we're really excited about Kyle and Drew.
Jameer said even before you were hired that one of his goals was to have a long-term contract, or maybe a 3-year contract. Is there a chance that you would consider extending him or coming to some sort of agreement that you would sign him to a 2-year deal after this upcoming season?
You know, what I can tell you is we want Jameer to be here, and we want him to be a member of this organization. And anything relating to contract talks or negotiations will always be something that we keep quiet and internal. But I can tell you that we certainly would like to see him be a member of this organization moving forward.
Rob, I know tonight is about the draft, but looking out into the future, what's next for the organization and Dwight? What's going to happen next? Where do you go next from here?
Yeah, so, you know, we have to continue to evaluate what it is that we want to do and continue to prioritize. You know, there are clearly a few things that we have to tackle, and over the next couple of days, our staff's going to do just that. And we're going to map out a plan to move forward and figure out, you know, how to attack things the next few weeks.
Rob, you've been in a lot of draft rooms, 7, 8 years in the league. How was this one different for you? You were running it. Did you have butterflies? Did you sleep last night? Talk about that.
Definitely had some butterflies. You know, there were some jitters, but I think you can fall back on your preparation, and you know that the preparation you've done up to this point will, in some ways, keep you wholesome and hopefully keep you from diverting off track. And it was exciting. You know, it was exciting, and our staff did a great job preparing us, and we feel pretty good about the decisions we made.
What are the medical reports you're getting about Dwight? There's some speculation out there that he might not be ready to play until a quarter of the way into the season or midway through the season.
Yeah, you know, I don't really have a comment on that. I believe there's something called HIPAA that I don't want to violate in terms of medical updates or status. So I don't really have a comment on any medical conditions right now.
Rob, how much are you looking forward to talking to Dwight, whenever that's going to happen? How much are you looking forward to looking him into the eye, engaging him, and figuring out what he wants and what you guys can do?
You know, pretty excited about having a chance to speak with Dwight and a chance to continue to speak to Dwight, and you know, we'll just take it one step at a time, one conversation at a time, and see what happens.
There was a report out there today, and we're trying to make heads or tails of it, so let's just ask you for, you know, because you're the source, that the Voss family has told you that they don't want Dwight traded. Is that accurate, inaccurate, off base?
You know, the DeVos family has told me that we need to do whatever we feel is in the best interest of the organization, and that's the truth.
This might be our last time speaking with you until free agency starts.
What gives you that impression?
Well, you can.
I can ask some questions too, right?
Yeah. I'll go no comment on that.
Okay.
Tonight's about the draft. No, joking aside, do you anticipate being active in free agency as far as using the full mid-level, possibly trying to get a little bit under the cap with other moves that could give you some more flexibility?
I think the next few days are going to be really big for us in terms of trying to map out our strategy and what our goals are, whether it be in free agency or what have you. You know, I think there's a chance we could be active in free agency, but a lot's going to depend on the priorities we come up with internally and the goals and the needs we identify. And you know, similar to the draft, free agency is a lot about being able to adapt and react to different factors too. So we're going to be prepared to, I think, make good decisions. I know that sounds redundant, but it's hard to say right now. The next few days will be important for us to start to prioritize an action plan.
None of the rumors that were out there the last few days actually materialized during the draft concerning the Magic, but were you at any point close to trading trading Dwight Howard, or trading picks, or trading any other players to make any moves to move up?
You know, what I can tell you is we were in discussions to do a lot of different things, and the nature of this time of year especially is you talk about 10, 12, 15 different things, and maybe only one or two of them have any real legs. And then you have to go through another iteration on those one or two things to even see if that could be possible. So we were talking and throwing a lot of things at the wall. Not everything stuck, and the things that did stick at the end of the day, you know, we determined just weren't in the best interest of the organization as of June 28th.
You want to share what those things were?
Not really.
What would you say are the needs of this basketball team? From the outside looking in and now that you're here, where does this team need to improve to take that next step?
I just think we need to get better. Internally, externally, improvement is the goal, and incremental improvement. You know, I don't think we're looking to hit a home run or hit a grand slam. We're looking to just incrementally and marginally keep chugging away and keep getting better.
Rob, I don't want to beat this nail, but what would be your message to them? How will you sell them on your vision? What are you going to tell them?
You know, I'm not going to share that right now. I think it's important for the integrity and the confidentiality of the process to keep those thoughts internal. And I'm not saying that to be a pain or to not be articulate or whatever you want to call it, but I do feel like it's right now it's in the best interest of the organization to keep that material confidential.
You've had about 48 hours since we asked you about this the last time, about your search for a coach. What progress, if any, have you had the chance to make?
Well, you know, certainly now that we've gotten past the draft, we'll start to accelerate that process a little bit. Internally, we've made some progress in terms of a timeline and the criteria. Again, I'm not going to go into specifics on exactly what that is, but I can tell you that since 48 hours ago, we have made some progress.
Is there any big names that you'd be willing to divulge that you guys are looking at? I mean,
No.
As far as the two picks tonight, does that have any impact or any bearing on Ryan Anderson's free agency?
You know, again, tonight was about trying to find two good players who were at 19 and 49 who were available at those slots, and we feel really excited about Drew and Kyle. We feel like they're about the right things, and they're going to come in with a professionalism and a level of maturity that I think can really help our organization. And no, it really had no bearing on any other factors on the
Was it
roster.
simply best player available approach?
It really was. We felt those were the two best guys at those slots to pick, and that's why we picked them.
Okay, you want to end this, Josh?
Well, I don't want to end it. I got a million more questions.
I'm going to remember that no comment. That was big.
No comment. How do you evaluate Ryan's game? That's one guy we haven't really asked you much about. What do you see when you see him, and how valuable he is to the organization?
You know, clearly he had a great season, and I feel like he's someone who has a skill set that's pretty rare, and a skill set that in today's NBA has some real sticking power. So I think he's a good player, and I think he's a good person. I've had a chance to speak with him. over the past few days, and I think he's got a bright future in this league.